Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. Michael Darcy, your host here as always. And today I wanted to talk about the Frank Clark situation and some of the news that broke at training camp, because a lot of Chiefs fans seem to think he's going to have this bounce-back 2022 season, and quite frankly, I just don't see it. So, as you guys probably know, I was at Chiefs training camp on Friday, July 29th. Unfortunately, not as a media member, but hopefully we'll get there next year. But Frank Clark spoke to the media on that day, and I learned some very interesting things. So first of all, Frank Clark cut out meat and alcohol over the offseason. He lost a ton of weight. He looks in pretty good shape. He might be kind of small for a defensive end, but he's thinned down a lot. And, he kind of talked to the media about some of his struggles and kind of what's been going on in his personal life. But something that really caught my ear and something that made me want to talk about this in a video is Andy Reid had a heart-to-heart with him and basically said that expectations weren't met in the previous season. And I find that so interesting because Andy Reid is the guy that can, quite frankly, change the entire team if he wants to. He can pick up guys like we saw with Carlos Dunlap. But if Andy Reid has a heart-to-heart with somebody, it genuinely means that he's trying to get to the bottom of it and trying to figure out how to solve it. And also, if he says something, you listen. And I think Frank Clark, for the longest time, was dealing with his off-the-field issues with the gun charges and his health issues with his stomach. But, I think that his play on the field just quite frankly wasn't good enough, and Andy Reid told him that. And I'm glad that both are under the assumption that he did not play well last year. He can play better this year, but Andy Reid basically told him, hey, we need more out of you. If we want to win a Super Bowl, you have to be that defensive end that we're paying you to be. And there was that whole controversy in the offseason just a couple months ago where they could have released him. They would have eat like $20 million in cap space, but they decided to restructure his deal to keep him on the team. So Frank Clark has a lot to prove this offseason. And since he's in, I guess, the best shape appearance-wise, like I said, he's pretty small for a defensive end now. But Chiefs fans seem to think he's going to have this big jump season where he's going to prove a lot of things and maybe he comes out and gives the Chiefs some solid games. Here's my thoughts on Frank Clark. He's the kind of guy that you just can't rely on. And I know that sounds bad, and a lot of people are saying, oh, Andy Reid talked to him, maybe they can work it out. I just can't have any faith in Frank Clark. I've yet to see it. I have to see him do something to give me this sense of hope or give me this reason to trust. Because what has he done? Last year he had 4.5 sacks and only 17 QB hits. 4.5 sacks isn't doing anything. Mike Dana could do that. George Karlaftis, the rookie, this year can do that. And that's another thing. I'm getting a lot of heat on Twitter. Frank Clark is staying after practice to kind of mentor George Karlaftis and show him his spin move. And I said, I don't want Frank Clark anywhere around George Karlaftis. And some people got mad about that. But kind of with life, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but you shouldn't take advice from somebody that isn't worth giving advice to you. I'm not saying Frank Clark's advice is useless, but when he's trying to teach you a spin move that even he can't do well, I don't know how much George Karlaftis should be listening to that. That's kind of my thoughts on that. But, I think that it all comes back to just Frank Clark's production. If he produces, we're not going to talk about him. Even if he has 8 sacks, we're not going to talk about him. We're going to talk about him in a positive light because that's more than he's had in Kansas City. We need him to be exceptional this year. And Chiefs fans seem to think that he can. I'm not among that group. I don't have trust in Frank Clark. And I think that we have to come into this season kind of thinking that, he's a piece that if he gives you anything, it's a bonus, but don't have any expectations. Because if you do have expectations, you're just going to get disappointed. And I think that, Andy Reid did talk to him, and they talked about how they didn't meet expectations last year. And maybe that might motivate him, but at the end of the day, I think anything Frank Clark does this year on the football field is a bonus. That's kind of where I'm at. I still don't think this defensive line unit is all that good. Frank Clark is not a piece that you can throw out there every single snap at one of the defensive end positions and expect to be okay. He's just not that guy because he's not a good pass rusher. And I hate to be that guy. Maybe he proves me wrong this year. I would love to be proved wrong because guess what? That would mean that we have a guy that is a capable pass rusher coming off the edge. But I don't believe we have that in Frank Clark. And George Karlaftis might be something, but again, I don't think that he's going to get this wisdom from Frank Clark and turn into like this 15 sacks a year kind of guy. I just don't see that. But, I think that Chiefs fans just kind of have to have this perspective that if Frank Clark plays this year, which he is going to play, as long as he doesn't hurt the team overtly, as long as he doesn't do very stupid things, which he doesn't usually do, but it's just, don't expect him to have this large amount of sacks, because quite frankly, Chiefs fans have done this every single year since he's been in Kansas City, and what has he done? What has he done? He has not lived up to any expectations, and that's why I think that, you can't really have a bar set for Frank Clark, because he's probably not going to meet expectations. So that's my thoughts on the whole Frank Clark situation with him losing weight and Andy Reid having that little heart-to-heart talk with him. I think Andy means well, but I don't know if Andy's words are going to strike a chord with Frank Clark and make him be this monster on the football field that we've never seen before. So Chiefs Kingdom, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Am I right? Am I wrong? Do you agree with my Frank Clark opinion? Do you disagree? And why? So that's really all I got. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, that is KC_Sports Report. Twitter is at KC Sports Report. Go check out the website. That is KCSportsReport.com. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video, and go Chiefs.